again. Hope everybody's having a good summer. For today I thought I'd look at a movie that has something that some people associate with summer, the circus. Today I'm going to be looking at the little-known 1940 horror film starring Boris Karloff, The Ape. One year after his tenure as the Frankenstein monster came to an end, The Ape was the final film in Karloff's 9-picture contract with Monogram Pictures. Often considered one of his all-time worst films, The Ape is actually a movie that I grew up watching. As I've said many times, I was really into the Universal Monster classics when I was a little kid, and I was also into finding as many movies as I could, starring people like Karloff and Bela Lugosi. And one day, because it was in Borders at the time, I got the Boris Karloff collection, a cheap little DVD consisting of 4 of his public domain films: The Ape, The Terror, Doomed to Die, and The Fatal Hour. As a dumb little kid in elementary school with no sense of what a bad movie was and no sense of what a cheap DVD was, I ate up every movie in this little collection, and I still got a little bit of a soft spot for them. And to be fair, all the films in this collection are actually pretty enjoyable, if not of the highest quality. The Ape being the only one that is pretty bad all around. Directed and produced by William Nye, who had previously directed Boris Karloff in all 5 of his infamous Mr. Wong movies, also released by Monogram. The Ape was based on a successful 1924 play by Adam Hull Shirk, and adapted by screenwriters Richard Carroll, who also wrote 5 Came Back, and Kurt Siodmark, who, funny enough, actually has many writing credits in the Universal Monster Classics series. 1 year after The Ape, he would write a film I actually reviewed last October, The Wolfman, a much better made 1940s horror film.
Suck a doorknob, you homo.
For all of its problems, The Ape is a pretty easy film to watch. It's only 57 minutes, barely qualifying for feature-length runtime. And Boris Karloff, even though he made a lot of bad movies in between his amazing classics, he always gave it his all, even with a bad script. And it's hard to find a performance he did where you just can't help applying the words class and grace to him.
You might have used a red-hot poker. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Come again. I hope not.
The Ape stars Karloff as Dr. Bernard Adrian, a disgraced medical doctor whose methods for treating polio were considered unorthodox. And even though he's now a pretty lonely doctor, the townsfolk don't really like him.
Giving Red Creek a bad name.
I think so. You're right, Mason.
Run out of this town a long time ago.
The main reasons the townfolk don't seem to like him, that they keep bitching about, is they think he's weird and he keeps to himself too much, and they all make up stories and then they all just start believing them.
People are fucking people, and that is fucked up!
We see a group of really bad child actors going to his home to throw rocks at the house just for shits. And he comes up and calls them out and grabs one kid trying to get away, and the kid later lies saying that he hit him for no reason.
He ran after me, hurt me, and I wasn't doing nothing, poor child.
I hate kids.
Yeah, maybe he was a little rough, but you were throwing stones at his house, you might have broken a window. I think getting grabbed and yelled at is something you had coming, you little shit.
Why don't we kick the doctor out and be done with it? I'm ready time you're willing to get started.
The only people who don't seem to really mind Dr. Adrian is another doctor who runs the town's drugstore, who appears to know about some of his experiments.
Maybe we men of science think different from other people, but if they ever find out in the village what you've been doing... You mean about the animal?
He's conducting his experiments to cure polio on little animals.
Some of the dogs have been missed. Well, that phase of the experiment is all over.
Which, yeah, is a little uncomfortable, and you're gonna find soon you're not really sure how much sympathy you're supposed to have for Dr. Adrian. His main and apparently only human patient is this young woman named Frances Clifford, played by Maris Rickson. A young woman who has apparently been confined to a wheelchair for 10 years. And Adrian, looking at her, sees in her his daughter, who he says, along with his wife, apparently died of polio many years ago.
She'd have been just 18 today. I couldn't save her, and I couldn't save her mother. I had weapons to fight the disease that killed them, but I have now.
So what we appear to have is a melodrama about a doctor trying to cure polio, so where does the horror aspect come in, and why is this movie called The Ape? There's a circus coming to town, and all the townsfolk are real hyped for it. Adrian suggests that Frances go to it with her boyfriend, Danny Foster, played by Gene O'Donnell.
You know, Francis, I think the doc's crazy. I suppose I'll have to like him as long as he's nice to you. Well, I'm not saying I believe all the things.
Don't you believe any of the things they say about him, Danny Foster?
Danny's another one of the one-dimensional townfolk who's not a big fan of Dr. Adrian because he's homely, and he's nervous about the experiments he's doing with Frances.
Just the same, I don't like it. I like things I can't understand.
And every other line he has is, "Oh, I love you. I love you. I don't want you to be in pain. I love you."
Get the boyfriend out of here and keep him out. That's all I need!
After the townspeople see the circus with some pretty impressive acts, we see our title character, the ape. Well, not the most impressive giant ape costume, especially in close-up shots. It's a passable costume, especially for a 1940s horror film. We see the ape trainer just being real rough with him, and the guy claims that his father was killed by the ape 2 years ago.
I know he did. I was right here when he did it. Because he was abusing them, same as you're doing. If you don't watch your step, he'll get you too.
And even if that's the case, I think considering the ape fucking killed a guy, that should have been more enough reason to put him down or replace him. And despite the warnings of the owner, the trainer is actually retarded enough to turn his back on this giant beast that he was just abusing a minute ago.
Why don't you mind your own business?
Causing him to drop his cigar. Another dumb thing of him to do considering where he is, right into the hay. And the ape, after mauling the trainer near to death, breaks free from his cage and runs loose on the town. The sheriff, played by Henry Hall, a lawman who was more than happy to flash his badge to get free popcorn.
All right, officer.
Takes the townsfolk on a search for the ape after dropping the dying trainer off at Dr. Adrian's house because, while they may not like him, I guess he's the only doctor with experience this town has.
Are you kidding?
Am I gonna die?
We all have to die sometime.
Oh, just don't let me die, Doc.
And while treating the trainer, Dr. Adrian has, I guess, an epiphany as to the ingredient that will perfect his serum to cure polio.
What are you gonna do?
I'm going to write you into medical history.
And he straight up murders the trainer by removing his spinal fluid and makes the serum.
That's fucking crazy, man.
He goes to Frances later on, injects the serum into her, and for bullshit science reasons, she begins to regain feeling in her legs for the first time in forever.
You feel them, Francis? You feel them?
They're so heavy.
Well, that's good news, my dear. That's what we were hoping for.
You think I'm mad, don't you?
So he goes home and boasts to his housekeeper, Jane, played by Gertrude W. Hoffman.
It's there. Life in that tiny bottle. The child will walk again.
You klutz.
So after that clumsy as fuck moment, we see the posse find that the ape has killed another person, and it has now made its way to Adrian's home, where it spots the torn coat of the trainer. Why that was left behind is a mystery. And the ape breaks in, and probably the most memorable part of the film, just jumps in, rah, breaks everything. Acting fast, Adrian opens his chemical locker and pours what I'm assuming is acid in the ape's face, and then kills him with a single stab to the back. And then, this is where the film really gets fucking stupid. Dr. Adrian, with the confidence of his housekeeper Jane, skins the ape, buries his remains in his garden and walks about wearing the ape's skin like it wasn't already a costume to begin with, and goes out looking for people to kill so he can steal their spinal fluid to make more of his serum.
Jesus Christ!
So yeah, Dr. Adrian is a fucking psychotic killer, but he's doing it all in the name of curing polio. That makes it right?
No, I'm doing society a favor. So?
The second person he kills to take their spinal fluid is Henry Mason, played by Phil McCullough, a rich asshole who is taking everyone's property due to them being unable to pay rent.
Here's that dispossessed notice on Wilcox. I want it served tonight.
We're busy tonight.
Your duty is to take care of the citizens of this town, not fooling around chasing apes.
He dies after leaving his home and telling his wife pretty much to go kill herself so he can meet with his mistress.
Why don't you try going somewhere else?
I've got no place to go.
You got the river.
What an asshole.
And the part from where he leaves to where he dies is so abrupt that you feel like we missed a whole section of the film.
What makes you think you're smart?
And that is a huge problem with the ape. The editing is fucking terrible.
My business, what I do.
Fine, and it's mine what I do. We'll get to...
This whole film, even for a film that's under an hour, feels unbelievably chopped up.
Throw it.
Careful.
Thank you. That's all.
It turns out there actually is a slightly longer version of The Ape with scenes that were cut out and has better editing. But that's not the version that I've been watching for the past 14 years, so for this review, with this version, my criticism of the editing stays.
What?
Shortly after Mason's death, we see another doctor, Dr. McNulty, played by Selmer Jackson, who is apparently a former colleague of Dr. Adrian's, who was part of casting him out many years ago. After examining the bodies of the trainer and Mason, comes to the conclusion that Adrian must have killed them because I guess we needed a smart character to drive the plot for a few minutes.
I understand that you administered to the wounded man before he died.
I did my best for him, but it was quite hopeless.
In spite of the spinal injection you gave him?
It seems like any logical person would do, is about to call the police. But Adrian insists that he see Frances, and before he showed up, Frances was actually able to move her foot in an honestly, I'll admit, genuinely touching moment.
Oh, my...
Dr. McNulty inspects Frances, and while she's unable to move her foot again...
Her foot did not move, but I did feel a definite muscular reflex. Congratulations.
And I guess that's enough to make him let Dr. Adrian get away with murder, as long as it means curing polio. And even though he offers to bring him back so he can do much better research...
Too late. I have to stay here.
And I'm like, dude, he's pretty much letting you get away with murder and very illegal activities. You might as well take him up on his offer.
At least give me your promise to keep us informed of your progress.
Every step of the way.
Thank you.
What the fuck is wrong with you people?
But he doesn't, and he, in a very awkwardly long shot, says,
It's not finished.
After going out to get more spinal fluid while dressed in the ape skin, we see those bratty kids from before. One of them has a rifle and shoots at the ape.
Mickey killed him and shot him dead. Bang, bang, between the eyes.
Where's your 22, Mickey?
He dropped it, Sheriff.
I did not. The ape grabbed it.
Sneaky little shit.
We cut to Dr. Adrian patching himself up, and after almost getting caught due to the sheriff checking in,
That ape seems to take a fancy to your place. Now, don't take offense, Doctor. I'm just trying to clear up my mind.
thankfully the sheriff is dumb as a fucking doorknob.
You see, this coat was worn by the trainer when he was mauled by the ape. That perhaps explains the interest of the ape in this house, and your dogs in me.
No, I'll bet you're right.
Adrian stays in for the night.
I can't fail.
After the 2 spinal fluid injections, Frances has regained a lot of feeling in her legs. Most of it pain, but still feeling.
Well, if they hurt you, how can you be getting better?
Danny, while supportive, once again, not a very well-written character, is very apprehensive about her being in pain, and in a stereotypical, over-concerned, I love her and I don't want her to be in discomfort boyfriend moment. He goes up to Dr. Adrian, looking like an angsty teenager with his fist clenched at the sides, saying he doesn't want her to be in pain, that he likes her the way she is.
I love her just the way she is, Doc. I can take care of her. I want to take care of her.
Through her, I could rid the world of...
I'm not in love with the world. I'm in love with her. Well, you got to stop it. You got to stop hurting her.
I guess he likes crippled chicks.
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah!
But who doesn't? Dr. Adrian, not sure he can get more spinal fluid, pushes Frances to move her legs as hard as she can.
There! You moved them! You moved them both, didn't you, dear? Stand up and take a step towards me.
And while there is some mobility in her legs, she just can't get up out of the chair.
It's only your mind holding you in that chair, not your body.
Really?
She needs more. Take care of her, Daddy. I'll be back.
So, Adrian decides, just even though the townsfolk are really cracking down on trying to catch the ape, to go out once more. Except this time he's not so lucky. And Frances actually sees him. Thinking the ape is coming for him, she calls out,
Doctor!
The sheriff and the townsfolk here come in and take fire at the ape. And as the ape lies on the doc's porch, they go up, the sheriff inspects, and...
The dog.
oh my god, it's... a twist?
They say this one has a surprise ending.
Yeah, I'm not sure who this is supposed to be a twist for. I mean, I'll admit, when I first saw the ape, I didn't pick up that Adrian was the ape, but I was fucking 10. Anybody with a healthy post-middle school brain could figure out that he was the ape, and they didn't really try to hide it either.
Oh, what a bummer, man. That was the worst fucking movie I've ever seen.
Frances rolls her chair in, screaming for Dr. Adrian, and then she sees that, yeah, he's the ape, and the killer of many innocent people. And I guess, motivated by the shock and her mind now clear, she gets up out of her chair and takes a few steps. Adrian, shot many times and dying, sees her, and I guess it was supposed to be a touching moment. He sees that his life's work has not been in vain, and he says, with all the dignity Boris Karloff can muster in a low-budget film like this,
Come to me, child. Walk. There. You see?
and then in a moment that feels more like he's passing out from a bender than dying,
He's dead, boy.
Ah, fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling.
Frances cries in the arms of Danny, but because unhappy endings just weren't considered sellers back in the day, we cut to a few days later where we see Frances, while still struggling, able to walk, and I'll admit it is kind of nice to see. Danny, still the overconcerned boyfriend, holds her and tells her she should take it easy and that he'll get her chair, and then she says,
No, Danny. Mother and I burned the chair yesterday. I'm never going to use it again.
and then one of the most abrupt cuts I have ever seen, it just ends.
I wasn't expecting that to happen.
And going back to what she said about burning the chair, saying she'll never use it again, I hope it works out that way, because who knows if those 2 injections were enough. Maybe you're walking, riding a bike one day, and you'll be like, duh! I'm just saying, take a few steps back before you start acting all confident and happy. So that was The Ape, a very short, not very well written or developed, choppy movie that barely qualifies as a horror film. The plotline about a disgraced doctor trying to find a cure for polio could have made for a interesting, if not medically accurate, TV movie, while the other plotline about the killer ape and stealing people's spinal fluid just seems like it belongs in a completely different movie. The Ape is a bad film, but it is far from being Karloff's worst.
Stop! You think that this miserable pig could be master of the legions of the dead? How foolish.
The only reason to watch this film is if you're a Boris Karloff fan, and while it's not a good movie, it does make for good material to make fun of and, as I'm doing right now, to review. On the quality scale, I give this movie a 3.5 out of 10. On the enjoyably bad scale, I'd give it a 7. And the last thing I'll say is, hopefully in the years to come, The Ape will become known as the film that was playing during the fundraising live stream for another Cinema Snob movie, when it finally reached its $50,000 mark on Indiegogo. And that is definitely something to be proud of.
Having trouble with insects, Doc?
This is just a little mixture of my own I'm trying to get rid of them with.
Well, if it works, let me know. My yard's full of them.